This is such an exciting part of the year. I'm so glad to get out of my house and get started on some gardening for the new year. What I'm doing is I'm making some of my homemade indoor seed starting mix. The recipe that I'm making today is an adapted version of Elliot Coleman's soil block recipe. I want to give credit where it's due. I did not come up with this entire thing myself. It was inspired by his recipe, and I've kind of tweaked it to my own version. This soil mix works really well for both soil blocks and if you're putting your soil in any other type of container, whether it be plastic or like a recycled egg carton, works well for all of that. It is specially formulated for the soil blocks, and if you're not familiar with what a soil block is, it's basically the indoor seed starting soil, and then you take it and compress it into a mold and it forms a block. There's no other outside container, and it allows the roots to air prune and it transplants really easily and nicely. So other points I want to make here, this is a homemade soil sifter that I have. Cameron made this for me. He inset the bottom a little bit so he could put that, it's a 1/4 inch hardware mesh on the bottom. That is game changer here. You really want to sift your soil before you put it into the mix, because that soil has a lot of big chunks in it even though it doesn't look like it. Here I'm pouring them off into a bucket, and I will use these in my garden as a mulch. So here's the finished product after all the big chunks are out. And then there is what I sifted out. That's what's going to go in my garden, and that is what I'm going to put into the mix. So now we're moving on to compost. It's the same process. You just put the soil onto the sifter and then go ahead and sift that. Compost onto the sifter. This is a product I purchased. This is the first time I've ever used that. Normally I use homemade, and I just haven't had enough time to make my own this year. There are a lot of ways that you can put together a homemade seed starting mix. You can do it in a wheelbarrow. Some people like do it in a bucket or something like that. Mix it all up. I personally put mine on a tarp and just throw all the ingredients on that. And then I use my hands and I just mix it all together. So you can see right here, this says 2 US gallons, and most buckets will be labeled so that you can figure out what measurement you want to go off of. the ends right there. Yep, now push down.